My name doesn't matter. What matters is that I'm blind. And for the past 3 months, I've been sharing my fire with a visitor. Someone, or something, that sits 7 feet away from me in complete silence. Something that smells like wet earth and decay. Something with hands so large they could crush mine without effort. I didn't know what it was. Not until the night 2 men broke into my home. Not until I heard the screaming. This is that story. Let me back up. 6 months ago, I moved to Vermont. Small town, quiet streets, sidewalks I could memorize. Everything a blind man needs to feel independent. But that's not why I really moved. I moved because of the bugs. I know, sounds ridiculous, right? But when you lose your sight, your other senses don't just get sharper, they get overwhelming. And down south, the mosquitoes, the gnats, the flies, I could feel every single one of them landing on my skin. Tiny legs crawling, constant itching. It drove me insane. So I packed up, headed north, found a house on the edge of town. The realtor told me the backyard bordered state forest, miles of untouched woods. No neighbors, just trees and silence. Perfect. I had a bench built, 7 feet long, solid oak. I placed it right at the edge of my property, facing the trees. Then I dug a fire pit in front of it. That became my spot. Every night I'd sit out there with a fire crackling, listening to audiobooks, feeling the heat on my face, the smell of burning wood, the sound of wind through the pines. For the first time in years, I felt peaceful. Then came the housewarming party. I'd made a few friends in town, good people who didn't treat me like I was fragile. We drank, we laughed, we sat around the fire until midnight. When everyone finally left, I was drunk. The happy kind. The kind where the world feels warm and soft and nothing can touch you. I stumbled back outside with another drink. The fire was still going. I spent a few minutes sweeping my cane around, collecting empty beer cans and solo cups, stacking them under the bench. Then I sat down, hit play on my audiobook, let the fire warm my legs. That's when I heard it. Footsteps. Not on pavement. On leaves, slow, deliberate, coming from the woods. I tilted my head, listening. "Hey, mate," I called out, my words slurring. "Want to come sit by the fire?" Silence. Then, closer, heavier. Each step sounded like weight, real weight, the kind that makes the ground compress. I remember thinking, wow, this person is big. Then they sat down, on the far end of my bench. The whole thing creaked under their mass. Now, I'm a talker when I'm drunk, and this person, this stranger who just walked out of the woods at midnight, didn't say a word. But I didn't care. I started rambling, telling them about my life, about going blind, about moving here, about how hard it is to trust people when you can't see their faces. They just listened. Every now and then I'd hear a grunt, low, almost guttural, but mostly silence. When I finally ran out of things to say, I stuck my hand out into the dark. "Thanks for listening," I said. A pause. Then a hand took mine. It was massive, rough, cold. The fingers wrapped around my entire hand like I was a child. We shook. Then they stood, one heavy movement, and walked back into the woods. That was the first night, but it wasn't the last. They came back. Not every night, but often enough that I started expecting it. I'd light the fire, sit down, wait, and then I'd hear those footsteps, always from the same direction, always the same weight. They'd sit. I'd talk. They'd listen. I started calling them Oak. because, like an oak tree, they were big, solid, and silent. I told myself a story to make sense of it. That oak was homeless, maybe mentally ill, maybe nonverbal, maybe traumatized. I offered to let them use my shower. I got a grunt that felt like no. I offered food, another grunt, but they kept coming. And honestly, I didn't mind. Because oak never asked for anything, never made me feel unsafe, never invaded my space. They just sat with me. For a blind man living alone in a new town, that meant something. But there were things that bothered me. The smell, for one. It wasn't body odor, not exactly. It was earthier than that, like wet soil, rotting leaves, animal musk. I convinced myself it was because oak lived outside, that they probably slept in the woods, that they didn't have access to hygiene. But sometimes, especially when the wind shifted, it smelled like something else, something old. 3 months in, everything changed. It was a quiet night. I was out by the fire, audiobook on low volume. Oak was in their usual spot, 7 feet away. Then I heard it. Glass breaking. Inside my house. I stood up, frowning. Did I knock something over? I muttered. I took a step toward the back door. And that's when Oak growled. Not like a person, like an animal. It was deep, resonant. I felt it vibrate in my chest, in my skull, in my bones. I froze. Then Oak stood. 2 footsteps, boom, boom, and they were at my house. I heard my sliding glass door open. Oak went inside. "Oak?" I called. "What?" Then I heard the scream. It came from inside my house. "Jesus Christ, what the hell is that thing?" A man's voice, panicked, shrill. Then another voice. "Get away! Get away!" Crashing, thrashing, something heavy slamming into furniture. Then a shriek, raw and primal and terrified. My back door exploded outward. Someone sprinted past me so close I felt the air move. "Who the fuck are you?" I shouted into the darkness. Here's the thing about being blind. You forget about lights. So when I shouted, I did it from the dark. My porch light wasn't on. My yard was black. The person screamed, high-pitched, like they'd seen a ghost, and I screamed back in shock, and they screamed again and bolted into the woods. I stood there, heart hammering, hands shaking. What the hell just happened? Then I heard glass crunching, footsteps, Oak walking past me, dragging something. The smell hit me like a wall, Oak's earthy musk, but underneath it, copper, warm, thick, blood. "Are you okay?" I whispered. A grunt. Then Oak kept walking, into the woods, dragging whatever it was behind them. I went inside, found my phone, called 911. The cops arrived 20 minutes later. They swept the house, took photos, asked 1,000 questions. Then one of them pulled me aside. "Sir," he said slowly, "we found an arm." "What?" "A human arm, severed, on your couch." My stomach dropped. He continued, "There's a lot of blood, drag marks leading into the woods. We think 2 people broke in. One of them ran. The other..." He trailed off. "They're dead," I finished. "Most likely." They searched the woods with dogs, found tracks, found blood trails, but no body. The cleaning crew left 3 days ago. My back door is covered with a tarp. So is my office window. I'm alone now, sitting by the fire, waiting. Because here's the thing I can't stop thinking about. Oak protected me. Whatever Oak is, human or not, they dragged a dying man into the woods to keep me safe. But what is Oak? Something strong enough to rip a man's arm off. Something that lives in the forest and smells like death. Something that sits with me in the dark and listens. I don't know if I should be grateful or terrified. Last night I heard the footsteps again. Slow, heavy, from the woods. Oak sat down on the bench, and for the first time in 3 months, I didn't say a word. I just sat there, listening to the fire crackle, listening to Oak breathe. Because I realized something. I've been blind my whole life. I've learned to navigate the world without seeing it. But some things you're better off not seeing. Oak grunted once. I nodded, and we sat together in the dark, just like always. I still sit by the fire every night. Oak still visits, and I never ask questions anymore.
So here's my question for you. Would you keep sitting by that fire? If something saved your life, but you had no idea what it was, would you keep inviting it back? Or would you move? Run? Never light another fire again? Drop your answer in the comments. I need to know I'm not the only one who thinks this is insane. And if this story kept you on the edge of your seat, do me a favor. Hit that like button. It genuinely helps more people find these stories. Subscribe if you want more true horror, more unexplained encounters, more things that sit in the dark and watch. Because I've got more stories like this one. Stories that'll make you question what's really out there. Stories that'll make you look twice at the woods behind your house. I'll see you in the next one. Or something will.